Bonsoir, fellow mini enthusiasts! I hope you like them golden boys because it's Custodes time! Game Workshop announced the new and mighty Legio Custodes Battlegroup box, which is described as the perfect way to begin a new custodian force. And they knew exactly what they were doing. The box is labeled as 30k Horus Heresy, but they very helpfully include the 40k equivalents. Which is Game Workshop's way of saying, hey 40k player, we would never encourage you to proxy, but also, please proxy. Yes, subtle, very subtle. Our new Auramite covered warriors don't have too much lore written down in the article itself, but just know, Gobelin Gang, that once the Custodes are deployed anywhere, you need to mark down the battle as victory, so I think we all have the vibe in mind. And we start strong with the Custodian Guard, the quintessential image of the custodians we all know and love. Giant guardian spears, high-plumed helmet, and glorious golden armor. As a representation of the absolute apex of what a human soldier should be, they do the job amazingly well. They look calm, almost eerily so, very regal and in control, solid on their feet, with zero tactical rock needed. Damn! There is a clear mix of medieval knight and Spartan design here. If you remove their gun, it becomes hard to even tell they're from a futuristic setting. It's a strong design choice, and totally up to taste whether you like that or not. I know I do. Golden Knights with gun are always fun. Practical question, how are you supposed to shoot with that giant spear? Where is the trigger? If you know, please enlighten me in the comments, I wanna learn. About the miniature quality, what a ridiculous amount of sculpted details. The Custodian Guards are covered in arabesque, whose elegant curvy lines whose sole purpose is to look fancy. You'll find them in abundance everywhere. Pauldrons, tabard, tight armor, cuisse, I think, and of course, Aquilas. Aquilas everywhere, as it should be. I mean, look at that staff! Absolute chef kiss. Mwah. Now I have to say something dangerous. I've heard you're not allowed to criticize the Legio Custodes or the Emperor's Fight Boys will crucify you, but I owe you the truth, Gobelin Gang. If you are a clumsy, heavy-handed fool like me, you already know that stuff is going to break. That is a lot of weight on a very tiny pole. Also, I cannot take this guy seriously. I love a Baal character, I really do. But this is quite the way to combat hair loss. Is it screwed on? Glued? Magnetized? How does it work? Let's just say it's peak fashion. The shield and sword version is called the Custodian Sentinels, and whoa, these guys are defending themselves with literal work of art. Non-metallic metal painters are going to have a field day with those shields. If you paint every single arabesque, one shield alone will take weeks. I also really like the banner, the Vexilla. Very recognizable, very readable, and thankfully much less likely to snap than the staff. I love them, but I do have a couple of small nitpicks though. And no, I'm not talking about that guy again, it's fine. The alternate heads feels a bit lacking, but let's be real. Why would anyone choose a bare head when eye-plumed helmets exist? Nobody, right? Right, Gobelin Gang? Also, is it just me, or are the swords a bit bland compared to the shields? The spears already clashed slightly with the aesthetic, so maybe there's a lore reason for the weapons being simpler? If there is, I am curious. The Caladius Annihilator Grav-Tank. What a mouthful. Giant ship, giant name, I guess. Described as one of the most dangerous armor weapon unit of its size in the Age of Darkness, it's packed with weapon I absolutely refuse to pronounce. Design-wise, we get a lot of clean shapes and smooth panel. There's a very clean separation here again between the weapon system and the core hull, which seems to be part of the Custodes' overall visual language. The article also showed two other vehicles, another Caladius variant with different weapons, and the Cornus Grav Carrier, which exists so your giant golden warriors can go on little promenade and deep strikes. They're all very impressive, classy and beautifully sculpted. But if Bob here raided the Louvre to get his shield, I would have loved just a little of that over-the-top energy on the tanks. I'm not saying you should cover the whole thing in patterns, but a few elegant arabesques would have gone a long way in reinforcing the army's visual cohesion. I am so excited for this part. The Dreadnoughts are my favorite miniature of the entire 2026 New Year preview. Now this is the correct amount of arabesque. Yes, I like the word arabesque, you probably noticed. And so did the sculptor, a lot. If you told me these were Joy Toy figures, I would believe you. The rule of cool is fully in charge here. Peak silhouette design. Give me a couple of movies about them fighting Tyranids Bio-Titan, Pacific Rim style, please and thank you. And if the Contemptor with Achilles Dreadspear is already incredible, wait to see the Contemptor Caladius. Now that is a knight in shiny armor, and this sword has arabesque and fit the global aesthetic. 10 out of 10 would buy it despite not owning any Custodes. I don't really have a critique here, except that standards for Dreadnought appearance are widely different, huh?
I was there, Gandalf. I was there 3,000 years ago.
Warhammer is silly enough that one of these could canonically be named Gandalf, and I love that. Then we have the Shield Captain, who needs to be even more over the top than the rest, and somehow they pulled it off. Seriously, good job to the sculptor. How do you make the leader of the already golden warrior shine? You let them hire freaking Michelangelo to make his shield, tabard, belt and pauldrons. Make them a walking art statement. Yes, arabesque galore, the Emperor wills it. And this cape, look at those folds. Now, I am usually a bit of a Edna mod, but here their strong standing silhouette totally allows it, and it delivers. The alternate bare head is fine, but let's be honest. Naked heads are scandalous here. Helmets only. Is it me, or is their plume less spoofy? Why? I like my plume fancy and fluffy, please. A very minor complaint for a massive win of a miniature. Last but not least, the Venatari swoop into the battle. They're not included in the main box, but they are very cool. The Aquila works perfectly for flying Custodes, and I love that the wing can open and close just like accordions. Peak design. They feel mobile, with slimmer armor and more fabrics, which makes the brutal simplicity of their weapons works beautifully. There's a perfect balance here between elegance and battlefield efficiency. Once again, the Mini does the job extremely well. I just wish they would show us the helmet adoption. All my silly jokes aside, I genuinely think these new Custodes miniatures are magnifique. The quality is there, they really took great care to make them look as cool as possible, and I think they bring a lot of joy to anyone who loves the Emperor iconic Golden Warriors, whether it's in 30k or 40k. But more importantly, I want to know what you think, Goblin Gang. Are the Custodes fancy enough to your taste? Are they too much? Tell me about it in the comments. And add the word arabesque so I know you're part of the secret end of the video club. If you're now obsessed with the word too, you're welcome. Join the Goblin Gang by subscribing, leave a like to motivate my little goblin butt cheek with some sweet dopamine. And as always, bonne chance with your hobby les amis.